this morning, but I hope to really have you guys enjoy yourselves today. So, I want to focus on, well, before I even begin, all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. In everything we do and say, the Most High God comes first. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is March 18th is going to be the fourth anniversary of the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I've already put this up on Twitter. People have seen it. We want to have a celebration of that. And how we can do that is by having a competition, pulling out the creativity of all of the Snyder fans and all the people in the Snyder fandom in the movement. And let's see your best rendition of Zack Snyder's Justice League sequel, which will be Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. So how this competition works out is like this. You're going to put out uh, your creativity in let me see how many categories is that. It's mhm, five categories, okay? So one of the categories you're watching right here in front of you is best meme. This is a meme. And if you look at it here, Batfleck movie, that's the hashtag Twitter or the Batman. He has a meme in front of you. So if you guys can put out all your memes, you can make up a meme on March the 18th, put it out there, and you use the hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. You're going to send it to the Twitter handle Snyder Cut. That's the Twitter highlight. That's the official Twitter handle that handled all of Zack Snyder Justice League stuff. And you're also going to put the hashtag for the category. The category in this case will be memes. Okay. So you could put out your best meme, but the topic, the theme for uh, your creativity for this competition is Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. Okay. So whatever your memes and stuff are, they have to include Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. Like this meme here says, life is good. It can be better. And it's really promoting the sequels of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So you have Zack Snyder's Justice League, you have Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, and Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. So this is a great meme, right? It has to fit in with the topic. Okay, guys? Um, it's five categories. It might be six. So I may include an extra category such as artwork, where you can just put artwork. But the topic, you have to stay in focus with the topic. The topic is Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. Some of you will do Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. That's okay as well. That's included, but you have to have Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 in it. Okay? Because this whole competition is about creating ideas for the next film, the sequel. Okay? All right. So what was interesting is in the last couple of hours, a trailer went up online, and I liked it because it's so cool. Because this trailer, though it was done about 2 years ago, um, it really was a great trailer. I'm not gonna lie. The music, the score, everything. And Floyd Lawton had put up the trailer, and Zack Snyder retweeted it. Not only did Zack Snyder retweet it, but Jay Oliver also not only retweeted it, but he commented on it. He said, "Really well done. I missed this universe." So we're approaching Zack Snyder's Justice League anniversary, and I think Snyder Queen was the one that started this whole thing. She put out, "Hey, let's have some hashtags on March the 18th, right? Restore the Snyderverse hashtags," and that's really cool. But I said, why are we not having fun with this? Why aren't we not taking this to the next level? Let's have a competition like we had back in the day. Let's start back SnyderCon. Let's keep that going. Let's let's build a culture off of this. Instead of fighting and arguing with people online, let's bring some life into this. Let's have some fun with it. Okay? So back in the day, you remember, we the fans did a lot of stuff. We not only raised money and fed the homeless, and helped people with their art projects in other places, but we actually had competitions. We had ongoing competitions, and this is what kind of attracted people to the Snyderverse fandom. And it started to bring some goodwill to us because we started to focus on constructive things to do with our time. And why can't we not return to that? You know, one of the things about Fiona Zhang and the early crew of the Snyderverse was all of these people were artsy fartsy people. Sorry. All of these people loved art. You saw cosplayers. You remember the first group of fans to go to Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, and actually they came dressed in characters of the Snyderverse. We had Wonder Woman there, we had Cyborg, we had Batman, we had Superman. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is let's capture the spirit of this thing. Let's start being more positive and let's start trying to produce things. You know what I like about the sell Snyderverse to Netflix thing? These guys tried to find a possible avenue through which the Snyderverse could be restored. And so this is positive. This is not negative. And we shouldn't be fighting over sell Snyderverse to Netflix or restore the Snyderverse, even though I personally don't support Netflix right now, even though I have to say, No Other Land was actually also helped promoted by Netflix. So Netflix actually, I think Netflix has something to do with that. So I may have to change my view on Netflix if Netflix has kind of undid what it did before, and it actually because the movie that actually the documentary that actually won the Oscar, I think Netflix has taken it up or something. I'm not sure, so I will have to verify that information. But I did see Netflix associated with it in some sort of way. So I don't know if they were involved in getting some of the production together, cost and money. Um, there's a lot of things I want to say, but I'm going to just keep it to this competition. Okay. So anyway, the point is Jay Oliver and Zack Snyder like this. And the point is we can have fun. We can have fun being part of the Snyderverse fandom. We can be creative as part of the Snyderverse fandom. You know, there are a lot of artists that are part of the Snyderverse fandom. We have a lot of people who are really great at, editing videos and enhancing videos. We have animators that are part of the Snyderverse fandom. We're not utilizing all of the creative power of the Snyderverse fandom. I feel like we kind of scattered and we forgot what we were. We forgot our identity. And a lot of us, and yes, there was some infighting and some foolishness that was going on, but we still all, I see universally, we still all kind of agree on what we like. So why don't we take that to the next level and let's have some fun with what we like? If James Gunn is not our thing, and the Gunverse is not our thing, why don't we just go with what we like? Go with what you love, go with what you like. You know what I'm saying? All right, enough of that. So here's what I'm suggesting. The categories, I believe, that are great and will help to support and push forward to where we want to go. The categories, and if you think about it, any fandom that actually pushed for anything, it's because they were pushing for the thing and they were actually putting forth their ideas of what that thing could be, how it could look, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what kind of propelled it forward. How many people did so much artwork on Deadpool? How many people did their own storylines on Deadpool? Deadpool didn't just come to be by fans calling for Deadpool. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't just a hashtag. A hashtag's cool. Don't get me wrong. A hashtag's cool, but it's kind of lifeless without creativity behind it, without the passion of fans behind it. And I'm saying to you guys right now, this is what we need to do. We need to get out there and we need to show the world what this film means, these series of films mean to us, and how passionate we are about it. And let's get back that energy that we had, coming down the final straightaway. Let's start looking for sponsors to sponsor certain things, like fundraising things. We can still raise stuff for suicide prevention. We can still raise funds, especially now in the economy, the world's economy, for homeless people, people who need housing, however we can tap into NGOs. Let's start making it happen. Let them learn that the Snyderverse fandom is more than it. I know some of you guys are like, whoa, 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 whoa. We just like movies, okay? Okay, so I'm kind of taking it to the next level there. But we did. We got political, people. We got political. We started fighting against suicide prevention. Then Zack Snyder had, and then Ben Affleck had Feeding America, and we started Feeding America. All right, we got political. Whether we like it or not, that's a political act. And I have no problem with people getting political, not necessarily political in terms of Democrat, Republican, or whatever, but political in sense of becoming an activist for good things. You know, mental health is very important. Why can't we not raise money for that? Zack Snyder even put mental health in his movies. He made a statement. It was political. But the political drive is based on humanism. It's based on our humanity. It's not a political drive based on team playing or what side I'm on, all this, so that it doesn't bring about. It's something that everybody universally would say, "Hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that." You know what I mean? So that's how I'm thinking about it. Okay, I've said way too much. I still haven't told you guys how this competition works, right? So let's get to it. So I was really looking for somebody else to take this on, but I think this is the time to do it. So if nobody wants to take it on, nobody went with the momentum, I'm just going to push it, okay? This is what's happening. And again, it's not this hard. It's not very hard. Because everything's going to the Snyder Cut Twitter handle, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League, for those of you who don't know. Because it's going there, which was the official, it's the official Twitter handle for anything that had to come through with information about Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's why, you know, if you look at Twitter handles like, you know, Avatar or Dune, they usually just use the original Twitter handle, and they may change the name. So that Twitter handle is what handles it. So why not let us include that Twitter handle in there for the categories? So there's 6 categories. Let's just go through them. One is meme, best trailer, best cosplay, best 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 soundtrack. It could be video soundtrack because, you know, you have to submit it somehow. I don't think there's a way in Twitter to submit music alone. So you'll have to submit it with a kind of like a video. Maybe you could just do like a Zack Snyder Justice League 2 label and then the music, okay? Best soundtrack. And you can also have what would I say? Best best trailer, which is best video, best meme, best poster. So we need an official or unofficial poster, a fan poster of Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. If you want to say 2 and 3, but I think it should be just 2, one poster. Okay. So yeah, best poster, best meme, best trailer, best soundtrack. What am I missing? I'm missing something. Oh, best cosplay, right? And if you want, we can include this category. I think we'll include it. So we'll have 6 categories. We won't have 5. We'll have 6. I hope you guys follow this. 6 categories. The 6th category will be best artwork. So it's an open field. You know, man, I just thought about it. Here's a 7th category. Best comic strip. The comic strip has to be short. It doesn't have to have an ending. It just has to grip our attention. So best comic strip, it can just have 4 panels. Minimal 4 panels. Maximal, I mean, you can go as far as 8 panels. So let's keep it restricted. 4 panels to 8 panels. Best comic strip. You know, in newspapers, you used to have a comic strip where they had this little excerpt. Comic strip could be, you can leave it on a cliffhanger if you want, but you have 4 panels to do it in, 4 to 8 panels to do it in. Okay, so best comic strip. Okay, so that's 7 categories. Let's go them over again. You got best poster, best meme, best cosplay, best soundtrack, best trailer, best art, which is just that's open field, and best comic strip. That's how we're going to do it. So there's 7 categories. Okay. All right. So how do you do it? You're going to put hashtag restore the Snyderverse. That's one hashtag you have to have there. You're going to put the Twitter handle, which will be the Snyder Cut. Okay, just put Snyder Cut. It's at Snyder Cut. And then the category. All right. You can enter as many categories as you want. Okay, there are 7 categories. The category will be hashtag category. So it'll be hashtag, for instance, poster, or hashtag cosplay, or hashtag soundtrack, or hashtag trailer, or hashtag arts, or hashtag comic. Okay, so that's how you're going to do it. And there's 7 categories. So we need a winner from each category. Now you guys are asking me, how are we going to get the winner? That's easy. That's the easiest part. To get the winner, all you have to do is like the poster. For example, if you're in poster category, you like the posters that you like. You can go into search and you do hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag poster, or you do hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag cosplay, and you'll see all the cosplays that entered. And then you go through all of them and you like what you like. So some of you guys will just be liking stuff. And it's very simple. The poster, for example, that gets the most likes, it wins. The cosplay that gets the most like wins, and so on and so on and so on. Now, do understand the cosplay that you're playing cannot be a generic cosplay. What I mean by that is, it can't be a cosplay where, like, for instance, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman can't be the Wonder Woman that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It has to be the Wonder Woman that we will see in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. And for those of you who don't know, you can go and watch the storyboards to see what she looks like. She has these big curly horns like a ram. So you got to do the right cosplays. So if your cosplay does not match Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 or Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 particularly, then it doesn't qualify, no matter how wonderful the art is. Okay? We're looking and focusing forward. We're not focusing at the present. We're not focusing backward. We're focusing forward. Everything that we're doing is based on the theme Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. If you have Zack Snyder's Justice League 3 included, no problem once it's not a poster or a trailer or something. So that's the competition. I wanted to talk about it. There's some other things I have to talk about concerning that, as well as some interesting information I'm going to be saying. But I just wanted to get through that first. Now, these are, for those of you who don't know, these are the actual storyboards of the original Snyderverse. Now, this here, first of all, before I go into anything further, these were fans that colorized the storyboards for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And this cover here was fan made. Okay, fans did this. I want you to understand how powerful these fans are. Look how fantastic this was done. And the fans that did it, I don't know their specific names right now, but I'll get them. And I'll highlight them. And I'll put out these storyboards for everybody to be able to watch. I'm just going to quickly go through the storyboards so you guys can see how creative these people are, how fantastic the fan work is. So they colorized this. This was in black and white. This is the original design, but they colorized it, and look how beautiful the colorizing is. Okay, I'm not going to go into this in detail. You can stop the screen and read it for yourself if you want. But this is Justice League 2. Yeah, this is Justice League 2 in 2019. This was the game plan. And look how beautifully colored it is. Fans colorized this. All the colors you see on this thing, fans did it. Let me emphasize that again. Now, Jim Lee is the one that did the actual drawings. Jeff Johns was the one that actually did the writing that you see in front of you. Zack Snyder was the one that shaped the story. Okay? There's Wonder Woman with the horns. So if you guys got to do Wonder Woman, you got to look at this design here, and your cosplay will be off of that, or your drawings or your art will be off of that. Remember, it's the fans that colored this. I want you guys to realize what we're saying here. This is some beautiful work. So this is the end of Justice League Part 1. Again, you need to know what the Flash looked like, what Batman looked like, what Deathstroke looked like, what Cyborg looked like. Okay? What Mira looked like. And you guys got a little taste of that, at least an alternate version in Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? We didn't see Death, we saw Deathstroke. There's Kilowog there flying in. See the parademons in the background. You see the world planes here fighting against Darkseid's people. Right? We see some sort of cybernetics here. Cybernetic thing. I think that's Cyborg going up against the parademons. You see Darkseid, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and Aquaman going to attack Darkseid right there. So I'm saying, and then they say 20 years later, blah, 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 blah. So all I'm saying to you guys is this. I just want to show you guys the storyboards, okay? I just want to let you guys know, again, that I'm just starting this. But if you guys want to take it to the next level and have competitions at different times and so on, please do it. This is what fandom's all about, you know? Okay, let me get out of this. Okay, so I'm going to go on Vero. Well, I'm currently streaming this, but here is also Zack Snyder looking at the video again and saying, "This is awesome." And there were a number of responses from people on Vero. Make Man of Steel 2, make the Batfleck movie. This is my hope, my dream. I want Zack Snyder's Justice League back. Restore the Snyderverse. I will fight forever. I will never give up. I still hope we get to see your saga completed someday. Even if it's an animation, I'll be glad to see it completed. Amazing. I don't know about I ain't know about no damn animation. You know what I'm saying? South Cali guy. Shout out to South Cali guy. Man, I like this dude. He saw that Zack Snyder reposted this. So he just took a photo shot of it. And it wasn't just Zack Snyder. It was also Brad Curran. No. This is Brad Curran. Okay. Oh, he was watching Novocaine. Okay. Shout out to Brad. Okay. And South Cali guy talking about that James Gunn is making a James Gunn Superman movie. I think I talked about that yesterday. Okay, so let me come off of Vero for a second. Okay, so on Twitter, if you guys check my Twitter handle, you'll see, well, it's not 3 days anymore, it's 2 days. So this got some traction. I got 67 likes. Let me see here. I got 6. I'm trying to get the views. How many people saw this? 803 people saw this. Now, the important thing is the contest, as I was saying before, it will have Restore the Snyderverse handle, which you see up top there. Sorry about that. And also you see Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut, this is what Snyder Cut is. This is the Snyder Cut right here. Okay? So this is the official channel where you can get the Snyder Cut. Okay. Okay. So what's important here? This was the one with most viewed. Um, about 1,580 of you saw this. It needs to go further, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's kind of late when I started doing this, and I just included uh, two more categories, right? I included art, and I also included comic strip, right, or comic. Okay, so let me just explain it one more time. Restore the Snyderverse. You're using that hashtag on that day, the 18th, and you're going to submit your entry. Your entries are either going to be hashtag a poster, hashtag a trailer, hashtag cosplay, or hashtag video soundtrack. Please include the Twitter handle Snyder Cut in your presentation so that it will appear on that same Twitter handle page that I just told you guys about. So you need to have Restore the Snyderverse there. You need to have Snyder Cut in there, and you need to have your category, hashtag category. Remember, there are two extra categories I didn't put up there. Now, here I talked about the meme category, which is an extra category that you introduced. Oh, there's seven. It's seven categories. So it's three extra categories. Sorry, my bad. So you have the meme category, which is another category that I don't have posted up on Twitter. And the other two I just thought about, which is art, which is open art. You can express however you want to. It's actually Justice League 2. And you also have the other category, which is comic strip. Now, the comic strip category, you put comic, all right? Don't put strip. Hashtag comic, okay? I'll actually type that out in a minute. And for that, I want you to make an original comic summarizing Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. And it can have a cliffhanger, meaning it doesn't have to be complete. What I mean by that is, so that you guys understand, it doesn't have to be a complete story. But wherever you end the story, it needs to be interesting. Okay? Think of it as you're making a comic strip prequel to the story. So maybe you are deciding, okay, we're going to do something that, leading up to, and maybe you will want to do another episode or whatever. I want you guys to be creative. I want you to use your skills and abilities. I want you to get out there and start shining a light. Okay? And there's a lot of you who are really gifted people. I think about all the time. I think about the deceased artist who was just spectacular. Was a spectacular artist, and I think about how much he gave to the world. Brian Zapp, and now he's passed away. Apparently, he got a heart attack and died. But his art lives on, and it's up to us to remind everyone and to continue to put his art out there. So I'm saying this to say, and a lot of people in the Snyderverse movement died, actually, and we should remember them as well. In Rebel Moon, they talk about remembering the sacrifice that certain people gave and carrying on for them, right? And just like how I'm going to bring this in, Free Palestine, we should remember the names of the martyrs, the people who have died, sacrifice, their lives have been sacrificed just to see freedom happen in Palestine. Similarly, I think we should remember the people who passed away, who contributed to our movement, and in whatever way we can, remember these people as we carry on. Okay, so I hope that somehow, some way, this will impact you guys and motivate you to want to do this. Okay, the other thing is here. Oh, this is really great too. This trailer, Leonidas did a great trailer as well. And this is a piece of the trailer, and you guys could go check it out online, and you can check it out on Twitter. There's one more thing I want to share with you guys. Let me see if I can find it first. Here it is. Okay, so for this one, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen because you guys are not going to hear this. You're not going to hear it because I have on headphones. I didn't realize that I have on headphones here. But you guys check out Adrian Robinson, ex-president Greg Silverman. He was talking about how the audience is the boss. I think Greg was one of the best executives Warner Brothers had. Because under Greg, we got The Matrix, we got the Dark Knight trilogy, we got Man of Steel, we got Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to come out under Greg. Wonder Woman came out under Greg. The whole project was done already. For all its flaws, Studio Squad came out under Greg. In terms of DC, Greg really changed everything. Constantine came out under Greg. You think about Greg Silverman's, he was president of production, and then he became, I believe, president of content. I think it was quality content and whatever. But he really, the best DC movies came out under him, right? Nobody argues or disputes that The Dark Knight was one of the best comic book movies of all time. It came out under Greg Silverman. Okay? This guy, and to prove how good Greg is, Greg went on to form his own company, which is Stampede Ventures, and they're doing good. They're actually, putting out some really good content out there, and you guys should check him out. Don't only support Artist Equity with Ben Affleck, who's also doing a great job there, but also support Stampede Ventures with Greg Silverman. And they're coming out with more and more. Soon you will see some medium budget, high profile movies that they're putting out. They're getting up on the scene, and Greg really loves making movies. There's no doubt about that. His passion is movie making, and you can tell. And this interview here is just a snippet of Modern Royalty, and you guys should really check out this interview in full. I think it's on YouTube, where Modern Royalty, they interview Greg Silverman, and they specifically speak about the rift in DC with James Gunn's fans wanting, to put forth James Gunn's content, DC, and then there's the DC fans, the Snyder fans, who want the Snyderverse restored. And Greg had a really great way to say it. He said the audience is the boss. So studios, even though things have kind of changed, ultimately in the end, studios need to listen to the audience. And his whole motif is the audience is the boss. And what better way for us to make a statement to studios? It may not be Warner Brothers studio necessarily, maybe another studio. Grace Randolph was referring to Universal as the studio, maybe we should check out, but Comcast, that is. But whatever you may think, the studios do gather data on what the audience is saying or what the fans are saying and feedback from them. Because Greg Silverman said the audience is the boss. Now, he was saying it in the context of the audience actually watching the movie and determining if they accept it or not. But I think in this day and age with social media, where you have interchange between the audience and the studios, I think it's even more so impactful, because the audience is actually, if you listen to your audience, if you properly listen to your audience, because what DC and Warner Brothers will say is, oh, we listen to our audience. Our audience is saying, let's have this James Gunn Superman. When we say listen to your audience, you need to understand what we mean. We mean the majority of people that come to see your movies. We're not just talking about like a select set of people, a demographic of a demographic. Okay, because Warner Brothers has been listening to a particular demographic, and it's not Snyder fans, right? It's not the general audience. They've been listening to a demographic which they think represents the general audience. Obviously, they think so. It's not backed by hard facts. Okay, so they've been listening to a demographic, and the results of listening to that demographic has been flop after flop after flop. In fact, so bad has it affected the DC brand that now it doesn't even matter if it's a film associated with the DC universe or not. Joker Part 2, I think, suffered from so much bad will towards the DC brand that people get hypercritical of Joker Part 2. I don't think Joker Part 2 is probably, I'm pretty sure it's not a bad film. Okay, the quality of that film is probably pretty good. But I think just a series of flops. If Joker Part 2 came out when DC was very successful and so on, people would be more flexible to accept Todd Phillips' take on what he was talking about and how the story is progressing. But they got sour and salty because DC hasn't been doing anything. And I honestly think that the DC brand is as low as it can possibly get right now. It is not an asset for Warner Brothers right now. It is a liability. And I'm pretty sure a Superman movie that's going to come out is going to validate that in spades. And the fact that they're making James Gunn reshoot this movie doesn't order well. That doesn't help. You know, The Flash went through many reshoots, and it came out a pile of garbage. Let me put it to you this way: Warner Bros. Should just let James Gunn do what James Gunn does. They shouldn't be giving him notes. They shouldn't be trying to change up his movie. They should just let James Gunn do what he does and let the chips fall where they may. When you start to give James Gunn notes now and you're making him reshoot movie and all that, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better, you know, because you're making the director compromise his original vision. You should just let him do what he do. Let him fall on his own sword. You invested all this money, don't invest more. And I'm sure they're pumping in more money to make him do more reshoots because it costs more money to do reshoots. So this is just insane. So I don't know, man. You know, you just have to, and the thing is, the studio has to be confident in the movie. They have to have confidence in the movie they're going to put out. It is what it is. But anyway, I don't want to focus on him. I'm focused on us, how we can have fun, how we can put some stuff out there and enjoy it, right? Okay, so that's what Greg Silverman said. He said the audience is the boss. And he didn't go into any specific details on how to deal with the Gunn Snyderverse thing. But I already know how this is going to go. If James Gunn's fandom is enough to make his movie break even, and that's a tall order. For that movie to break even, it needs to make a lot of money. But if his fandom can make that movie break even, then we go with what James Gunn is doing. We don't have to worry about restoring the Snyderverse, right? But if that doesn't happen, then you have to ask yourself this question, and this is for Warner Brothers. Who were we listening to? Were we listening to the DC audience that's there that likes to watch DC? Or were we listening to a subset of that audience which isn't sufficient to make DC successful? It's a matter of taste. Now, we never said, as Snyderverse and Snyder-loving movie lovers, we never said replace James Gunn universe with the Snyderverse. We never said that. All we said, all the mandate was, is restore the Snyderverse. We didn't say James Gunn couldn't continue doing what he's doing. We just said restore the Snyderverse. But apparently, what is going to happen is the Snyderverse will replace James Gunn's plans for sure. Okay, it's definitely going to do that. So, unfortunately for James Gunn, and he was the guy again that could have allowed this whole thing to work out as a multiverse. Zack Snyder could have done his thing. James Gunn could have done his thing. Warner Brothers would have been in a much better position, because if James Gunn's movie flopped, the Snyderverse would have absorbed that shock and would the profits on the Snyderverse would have been able to allow James Gunn to continue doing movies with Warner Brothers. So because of ego and selfishness and inexperience, James Gunn found himself, he isolated himself pretty much. He isolated himself. He's doing everything. He's writing scripts. And nobody wants to work with him and so on. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. The Walking Dead creator, Robert Kirkman, calls for Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League to be released. This was back in the day. And Blu-ray Angel just talking about how Kirkman is a Snyder cult, a Snyder cultist. Okay. All right. This is it. This is the last one I want to show you. Film facts. Michael Shannon turned down a Star Wars role because he doesn't want to make mindless entertainment. Those giant movies, I don't find them very stimulating to work on. The reason he did Man of Steel was because he thought it was a one and done, and the story felt relevant. It's basically looking at a civilization that destroyed their own planet and think the solution is to go off and destroy another. Returning for the Flash shocked him. And I want to say, oh my God. The interesting thing about what Michael Shannon said, and it's huge what he said, is that this is what is going on right now politically in the world. And let me explain what I mean. The Israeli lobbyists, first of all, the Israelis, the people who migrated into Palestine, who now have the state of Israel, in order for them to build their nation, as General Zod said, a foundation must be built on something. Israel built their nation over the ruins of Palestinian villages, over the dead bodies of Palestinian families. They planted trees over some of these villages, pine trees that are not endemic to the region. And now they're proceeding to do the same thing. And what is amazing about this is looking at civilization that destroyed their own planet. These people destroy and continue to destroy Palestine. But that's not enough. The Israeli lobbies, such as AIPAC and et cetera, have now come to America and are now destroying America with their policies because they're sucking all of the American dollars needed to fund and help Americans into their destruction of Palestine. And these people are not endemic to Palestine. They come from Europe, mostly. They're Europeans. And they are destroying Palestine, and now they're destroying the United States to destroy Palestine. They're taking all their funding, they're taking all their weapons. They're causing the economy to suck dry. We talk about, Americans talk about these foreigners, these immigrants, these illegal immigrants. But what about this foreign entity that somehow is exempt from being identified as a foreign entity because America is somewhere inside of their lobbying name, which are taking Americans' money, their tax dollars, which is taking America's livelihood and giving America nothing back that equates to what they're taking, and destroying America. So it's amazing hearing Michael Shannon say that. And he doesn't even know how timely that is. Like, this movie was made in 2013, which is roughly 11 years ago. And it's so ahead of its time because it's literally speaking about the situation that's happening now when it comes to Palestine and how Palestine is connected to the United States of America. And we're seeing the decay of law. Well, not law, but the decay of, violation of the Constitution and constitutional rights. It's not the decay of law. The law is there. The law is there to enforce and to be carried out. And again, as I have advised you guys, there's something called civil disobedience, where if the laws are not being kept or if bad law is being carried forward, then it's imperative on the population, the civilians, the citizens, to ensure that those laws are carried out that are conducive and good to the population, to ignore the laws that are not carried out, to double down and to exert enormous pressure and force on the entities trying to violate the Constitution and the good law. So it's imperative not only that the courts decree correctly, but also that the schools, the institutions that are protected by the law, that have been removed by bad law, the protections and the sponsorships and subsidies, that they put pressure on the leadership. And this is very easy to do. It calls for volume. So we're talking enormous people speaking about this, and not only that, but acting on it. Lawsuits. Military need to be activated, and the military needs to say, no, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing that. We're not supporting that. There needs to be dissent within the camps, because it's a subset of the population that is doing this. Just like there's a subset of DC fans who want the desire to have the gunverse. They are not the majority. They are a minority of people. So you have immense power. That's all I can say. But yeah, I wanted to share this because I thought Michael Shannon didn't want to associate himself with the Kool-Aid that was going out there in the Star Wars universe. Right? He found something that had an interesting idea and concept in Man of Steel, and it was one and done. He didn't have to be, and this is why he chose to be in comic book movies. As he said, he doesn't know why the hell he returned for The Flash. And it shows in his performance as well. He don't know why he did that movie. Now, this is important to understand, ladies and gentlemen. They'll tell you Zack Snyder doesn't know how to make a film, blah, 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 blah. Now they're saying Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was a masterpiece. Now they're saying that. They haven't gotten to BVS yet. There's not their universal, BVS is a crazy movie. They haven't realized that yet. They haven't gotten to that part yet. But we, as fans, can show them what it is. Okay? Greg Silverman, shout out to Greg Silverman again. Even though he's from South Africa, this guy is crazy. And by the way, a lot of these people are immigrants, okay? So when you hear about anti-immigrant laws and all that, these are assholes, because Greg Silverman's from South Africa. Elon Musk is from South Africa, okay? They're immigrants, okay? Most of the people who are in Hollywood are immigrants. They come from either Poland, the Jewish people at least, Poland, Ukraine, Belarus. Okay. All right. They come from Ireland. They come from all over. Do you remember the days when the Irish in America were scorned? Do you know of the days when the Jews in America were scorned? See, they don't tell you about these stories. The Asians, the Chinese were scorned. The black. So, in other words, once you are an other, you're not one of us. For some reason, I don't know. I don't understand it. The only people who are not immigrants in America are the Native Americans. And they're still scorned to this day. They're still isolated to the day. The rightful owners of the United States. Oh, you know what? You know what? Let me get to it because I'm about to talk some political stuff. Okay, people, I'm going to try something here. I don't know if it'll work. I'm going to unplug my headphones. Okay, I just unplugged my headphones. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if you guys can hear anything. I don't know if the sound went. Okay. Paul Williams. Shout out to Paul Williams. By the way, Paul Williams is a countryman. Obviously, he's a cowboy. You see the hat and everything from the South. God promised us this land. Literally. It's crazy. It's crazy. They both have stars in their flags. The Americans murdered the Native Americans, and the Israelis murdered the native Palestinians. And they're bombing, up to very recently last night, they bombed southern Lebanon, killing some people. The Israelis. How can you be the good guys and you're bombing a country that's sovereign, that's next to you, without reason? They didn't do you anything, and you're bombing them. How are you the good guys? Explain that to me. Explain to me how the Indians are savages, but yet you're the one that genocide them out of existence. Oh, well, the good guys won. No, don't come with that bullshit. You're not the good guys. The good guys don't wipe out a people. I don't care who they are. Good guys don't do that. You're the bad guys. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, but you're bad. You're the bad guy. How do we know this? What did I tell you guys in one of the videos before? Bad things are when humanity is in danger and getting wiped out. It cannot be a good thing to wipe out people and to kill them off. There's nothing good about that. So you cannot be labeled good for doing evil. You're the bad guys. That's right. You're bad. Okay, so this is what happened in Lebanon just recently, a couple hours ago, last night. All right, let me get to Greg Silverman answering this question. Let's see if I can get the volume.
And made some of the best movies ever made. This is so nice. He worked with Zack Snyder in DC and made some of the best movies ever made. This is so nice. As you know, the DC fan base is fractured into pro James Gunn's DC reboot and Zack Snyder's Restore the Snyderverse. As an executive, how do you balance fandom with director's vision? Fans are vocal and passionate. How do you balance that? So the audience is the boss.
Ooh, can you say more about that?
Like, you make your movies, and look, this is, I think it's a great thing, and it's changing not for the better, in the sense that movies aren't getting seen as much. But when it used to be that every movie had its moment and the audience decided whether they were going to leave and tell all their friends to see it or not,
Right.
that power, I think, was really good for the movie business and for films and for the audience. And so if you delivered for the audience, you won. And now you can pull the audience. It's not about pandering. Like, you can make them see something they never would have thought to see, or learn something they never would have thought to learn. So, but delivering the point where they feel like they have this incredible experience. So they're the boss. It's just changed a little bit, this little bit of sidebar, but not every movie is getting those chances anymore, and movies are hard to find, and distribution.
They don't stay in theaters
They
long
don't stay in
enough.
theaters.
People
So,
find them.
so that's degraded a little bit. But the audience, it feels like the studios have all this control, but the audience is really the boss.
Got it. That's great to know. Oh wow, people don't want to stop.
Right. So I wanted to let Greg Silverman articulate that, so I'll just put it out there. Okay, so I'm mostly talking about Restore the Snyderverse, but I just wanted to show you guys something here. Lest you guys conflate the Zionist Jews with Jews, please do not do that. Okay? Again, leading the front lines in the charge against anti-Semitism, real anti-Semitism, and leading the charge against abuse of power, etc., are Jews. We have Jewish Voices for Peace, etc., etc., etc. These Jews have a conscience. Okay? These Jews are the real deal. And they don't play. They are willing to be incarcerated. They are willing to be put into concentration camps. They are, motherfucker, they are serious. Okay? They are willing to die for what they believe. And these guys realize this is bigger than a job, work, anything. And these guys understand how the Zionist Jews are behaving, how nasty they're going, and what they're trying to do to erode. Like I said, they're destroying America. And this is the resistance to them. And I'm telling you, man, these Jews ain't fucking playing, okay? So I want you to hear their voices. I want you to hear the Palestinian voices. I want you to hear the Jewish voices. I'm going to say, a lot of people think that a minority of Jews do not support the state of Israel. I'm here to tell you that it is the majority of Jews that do not support the state of Israel. There are Jews all over the world. I'm going to double down and repeat that in Israel itself, there are more than 50% of the Israelis, whether they be Jewish or Arabs or whatever, who do not support what Netanyahu is doing. They are making it sound like 95% of the Jewish people inside of Israel, 95% of them support Netanyahu. They don't. As much as there are Zionist Jews in the state of Israel, particularly in Tel Aviv, these Jews do not like what Netanyahu is doing, never liked what was happening to the Palestinians. And the reason why we had a reach out between Palestinians and Jewish people, and they were Skyping to each other, and they would do things in schools, and is because these people were fighting back and trying to get an understanding between the peoples so they could coexist. They believe that the state of Israel should still stay and exist, but they believe that the brutal occupation of Palestinians and the settlers, the settlerships and stuff, they're not extreme like that. They don't believe in the settlers. They don't believe in the settlements. They don't believe in that. And these Jewish people, some of them were born in Israel, and that's all they know. These Jewish people are totally against it. So I want you guys to understand something so that you can get this straight, okay? They're going to make you believe, a lot of people, they're going to make you believe, and it's for propaganda purposes, that a lot of Jews are backing. It's kind of like America. The majority of Americans do not support racism, classism. Just because they voted for Donald Trump doesn't mean they love all his policies. The majority of Americans are against the Gaza war and what's happening in Gaza and in the Middle East. And now, more than ever, with all the information in front of us, people who didn't remotely understand what was going on, they picked a side. And it doesn't matter what the fuck. I'm sorry about the F-bomb. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. It doesn't matter what the government say. We are learning so much about ourselves right now. We're learning how much power we actually have. And how much the people who we appointed to be in, take the lead and lead us, how much they really are standing on quicksand. How quickly their situation can change with awareness of people. We have a lot of power, people. We are the ones keeping anything in any country running. But they got us thinking that we have no say. And we don't have any control over what happens. Because this is what they do. They target individuals to try to change the mentality and mindset of the herd. Because they know people are herd-like. If this shit becomes a fashion, if this shit comes in style, that is to say, criticizing Israel, pushing for the end of the occupation, pushing for a Palestinian state, or pushing for the whole Israeli system to collapse and to have a peaceful system between Jews and Muslims and Arabs and Christians in that region, and to reinstate Palestine as it was, and make it a democratic state, appointed by the people and through the people and by the people. Whichever way this goes, and it's coming to a head, and this is why the government is so desperate. It's trying to do as draconian a law as possible with immigration and so on. And for the bloodthirsty people who are supporting them, they don't realize they're eroding their own rights and the reality of what that's happening. But I'm here to say that there's about to be an epic pushback globally against this. China's already put a statement. So China's kind of the world's siding with China right now. Russia's put out a statement and is still careful in how it's saying its statements. We know that Russia has ties to Israel. There are Jews in Russia. It would be interesting to hear what the Russian Jews have to say about this. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making is that because we're still in a world where there are checks and balances in different places, it's really political bravado. Now, the only thing I have to say is when politicians make reckless statements and their political bravado has come, we need to hold them accountable for that. So if you say X, Y, and Z, we want to hold you accountable for that. Okay? So that's what I mean. Now, I don't really need to play this video, but I'm going to play it.
Growing up, I heard the stories of my grandparents who were Holocaust survivors, and that my family was killed in the Warsaw Ghetto. And I was always told that never again meant never again for anyone.
Their intent is to scare us. Their intent is to scare us into silence and submission and compliance. And so we will respond with courage and collective action and collective principles, which say all of us are none of us.
My grandmother's cousins did not survive the Holocaust. I grew up hearing of stories of where fascism leads, where scapegoating leads, where making people other leads to genocide and Holocaust and extermination. We speak up now, or tomorrow we won't be able to.
As Jews, we say, not in our name. The Trump administration is platforming Nazis while claiming to care about anti-Semitism. We say, get our names out of your mouth.
And mind you, this coalition that you're seeing here Some of the coalition is Zionist. Some of the coalition is anti-Zionist. Okay? This is just people with a conscience. Okay? So I want you guys to understand that we're in the last days of this battle. We've won a ceasefire, which is delicate. It's a delicate ceasefire right now. We got some casualties. We got Mahmoud Khalil, who they just abducted, just like that. The state just savagely abducted like a mafia. And there's going to be some hell to pay for that. That was a bad move. That was a wrong move. And we're going to ensure that justice is served. First of all, Mr. Khalil needs to come back. Mr. Abia Sufia, we need to see that man, and we need to see him alive. And he needs to be exchanged. And we're not going to stop. You have to understand, we pay your ass to do your fucking job. Do your fucking job. And when you fuck up, we will fuck you up. We're coming for you. I say we as a collective, not we as Ansonfield. Ansonfield is just a little dot in the collective. And we're coming for you. And every single blood you spilt, you will have to account for. Every single life you put in through hell, we will rain hell back down on you in legal ways. Your rest of your days will be pure hell. We're coming for you. I am not speaking as an individual. I am speaking as a collective. We will not forget. We may forgive, but we will not forget. So you have to understand the consequences to recklessly, foolishly saying certain things. Because not only is the United States not Nazi Germany or the state of Israel, but the world is no longer the world that you once knew, where you could come with your little bravado and scare people, and you could come here and make an example of this one and an example of that one. No, all you do is raise the hornet's nest. That's what you just did. You just made it 100 times worse for you when we hunt you down and we punish you for your crimes against humanity. There's no escape. The walls are closing in. We see you with the worst of our humanity. You're willing to do deals with the devil for your success. But the devil, he's not honorable. Honor, Bruce. We live in a society where honor is a distant memory. He'll double cross you and you'll be destroyed. So, move wisely. Regardless of whether you release or don't release Mahmoud Khalil, regardless of whether you give up or don't give up Mr. Safia, you're not going to stop the flood that is coming in your direction. So the best thing you can do is give them up. So that when the flood comes, your hands are free enough to swim with the flow. Because those people are a heavy weight that you carry, which will sink you to your doom. They always say, well, who paid you to do this? No one paid me to do anything. The weird thing is, when I look at Ansarallah, aka the Houthis, they're more valiant people than these cowards in the Congress and Senate who throw out threats. But they themselves will not take it upon themselves to go into battle, to be on the front lines. If you are talking about bombing this one and bombing that one, why don't you go with one of the fighter pilots? Fly over the region and bomb it. Be there. Don't just sign the bombs. Go inside the plane. Be in the front lines, in the line of fire. All of these fucking cowards who get to sit in a country where it's not at war. They're not being hit by shells and bombs. So they got all the bravado. They got all that, the might of America, blah, 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 blah. They got all that bravado. They're good at being bullies. They're not good at being bullied. You know, bullies are cowards. Because once somebody stands up to that bully, he caves in. He falls. Heavy U.S. strikes against Sadr and Sana'a, Nasrallah-controlled Yemen, have recommenced. Power outages have been reported. So, Donald Trump has joined in with all of the successive governments in the United States who bombed Yemen relentlessly. So all they're good at doing is bombing, you know, and killing a lot of civilians because they're not killing Ansarallah. Ansarallah is deeply entrenched and deeply rooted in their conviction that Palestine must be free. And your mighty U.S. is saying, who are you? Who are you? They bomb you out of existence. No, you can't. You can't destroy the will of a people to fight for freedom. That is where you are losing this battle, and you will continue to lose this war. These people are not fighting because they want money or they are paid to fight by Iran or by some other proxy that you want to, the deep Russia or China. No, motherfucker. They are fighting for their freedom. They have not one fucking thing to lose. So to deter them is almost impossible to do. And you are only stirring them up to fight harder. Every time you bomb them, Hamas has doubled in size by Israel bombing Gaza. They've doubled in size. Do you think you can get rid of Hamas, Mr. Donald Trump? Yeah, really? You can give Israel all the bombs you can. You can bomb from now until eternity. The only thing you're gonna do is kill civilians. You ain't killing Hamas. And when you're done bombing and you run out of your ammo, Hamas is going to come out and retaliate. Your forces are going to retreat in loss. You bomb the fuck out of Cambodia and Vietnam. You bomb the fuck out of Afghanistan and the Taliban. Y'all bombed the fuck out of Korea. Y'all bombed the fuck out of Iraq. Syria. Libya. You bombed them all. Not to mention, you invaded Grenada. You invaded so many countries in the world. You forced regime change in so many countries in the world. And yet, here you are on the verge of bankruptcy. A nation that's a shell of itself, struggling to hang on to power because you will carry out the ministry of death. You always want to get rid of people. You always want to destroy people's lives for the few because you want money. Drives everything. So let's see. Little country like Yemen, tiny nation of Palestine. Let's see who wins. Is it going to be the people who fight for their freedom? Or is it going to be the power-hungry, corrupt, demonic, compromised politicians fed by corporations who rave and rant and carry on their tyrants, wielding their power to oppress people? See, I don't blame the American people. No, I will never blame them. I won't blame the Israeli people, as much as their government is symptomatic of a lot of them. No. I know who is to blame in this whole thing. It's the greedy, corrupt, devil-worshipping people who are pushing for violence and war and destruction. They're hoping against hope, like a demon that they are, that a world war would happen and most of the world's population would be annihilated. And they get to survive and recreate the world in their image and likeness. We know what it is. We know how wicked these people are. We see the destruction of Social Security. We see the destruction of foreign aid to countries. Foreign programs just cut short, stopped. People are dying as a result of that. Kelsey Piper, check out what he said. So, as John Mearsheimer so correctly said, the single greatest threat to the freedom of speech in the United States at this point is Israel and its supporters in the United States. John Mearsheimer, he don't mince words, and he's 100% correct. Paul Newman, back in 1973, spoke about how the U.S. had this fake war against the Soviets, Russia. Meanwhile, Israel is allowed to do just about any foolish thing. That is about to end, ladies and gentlemen. That is not going to continue. It's not going to continue. By the way, look at the person who's saying Israel exposed. That's right. V for Vendetta. Anonymous is back on the scene. See, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why these things are relevant, why these people will pop back up from, suddenly disappearing and appearing again. It's because evil is evil. We can't rationalize it. I cannot rationalize the evil things that I find myself involved in, and we should never do that. Evil is evil, and we must call it for what it is. All right, I spent an hour and 20 minutes here. I have to get out of here. I have to go out and sell. But I wanted to spend this time. I see you guys watching my video all the way to the end. Shout out to the people who are doing so. Much love to you guys. I just wanted to leave those words with you. There's a lot more I would love to say, but I'm not going to say it on this video. I spend more than enough time. You guys have a great day. I am going to get out of here now. Blessings to everybody out here. Blessings to the common folk. Blessings to the poor. Blessings to the people who have good intentions. I don't care what you are. You could be wealthy. You could be poor. You could be rich. You could be high up in government, low up in government. If you are a well-intentioned individual who is really seeking to do good and not compromising your belief systems, I give you good greetings. Peace to you. Peace to all of you.